back. Hope you're having a good day. And what we got here today is a sweet acacia tree. It is a member, I guess it used to be considered a mimosa, but then they figured out it was in the acacia family. There is a scientific name for it. I know I don't really know how to say it right, but it'll be in the title or description. It's supposed to get these little, it's a Florida native, it's supposed to get these little yellow flowers that smell really nice. That's why they call it the sweet acacia, used to make perfume with. I haven't gotten a flower yet, but I've only had it for a couple years, so interesting plant. Before I get started deciding what kind of work I'm going to do on it today, just talk a little bit about where it came from. It's going to be hard to follow along just because of the strange potting situation I got going with it, but I bought it in March of 2019 as a little seedling. The lady I bought it from said it had just grown from a seed that year. It was just in pure pine bark. I let it grow for that year. It grew quite a bit, but really didn't put on much girth or anything like that. And in February of 2020, that was actually when I realized that it was almost pure pine bark and everything. So I chopped it down to about the starting size again and repotted it in some a little mixture of some bonsai soil and nursery mix. And I let that go for the entire year, and then it did root. It got a big tap root, and it grew itself into the ground. It was actually January of this year that I just kind of decided it was growing, and nothing else was really growing. It got one of the first plants to have an early growth spurt, and it was just kind of getting in the way where it was. It was kind of half blown over from being windy all winter and everything. And so I cut the taproot and put it inside of this big terracotta pot, basically just to kind of let it rest. And then May 1st, went out there to kind of check on it, and I realized it had already anchored itself through the terracotta and into the ground again. And so I just took it and I repotted it again, and you can see where it had this mat of roots inside the pot that I had it resting in. And I just went ahead and took it on out and bare rooted it and repotted it in the little green pot with the pure bonsai soil, and then put it in the terracotta pot again to rest. And just the other day I went to move it and I realized it was stuck in the ground again. So I'm going to kind of test my theory of using the pot inside the pot is so that I can pull it up out of there and trim the roots. But the first thing I'm going to do is just decide what I'm going to do with this big mess here. This is actually kind of this branch, and well, even almost all of them. But this one and then this one as well. Good examples of why guy wires can be bad ideas, because I've got the guy wire on there which holds that part down, but then any new growth it gets just comes straight up. So I'll take those off. And then of course my fingers just hit the reason why guy wires can be good ideas on some of these trees, and that is this thing's got incredible thorns on it. I don't know if you can see them or not. Some people say they take them off so they can wire it. The branches are so brittle, they almost, they really have to be really young. And in a couple of those older pictures, you can see I actually got some movement in this branch and this branch because they were so young and flexible. But then just as soon as you get that in there, it just ridges right on up. And I really, I actually kind of hurt myself wiring it that day, and I told myself I'd never wire it again. But I'm going to do a couple things here. First off, I got this branch, which was holding down pretty well, but it's got two branches coming off here, one of them coming straight up. I'm going to go ahead and pop that guy off there. And then make this, I'm just going to cut it back just a little bit, just to kind of tame the growth a little. And then I'm just going to kind of, as I look at these, this one was, I was hoping it would be the leader. It wound up getting these two growths right off there. Three actually. Two coming straight at me here, and then the one going at you, the camera there. I'm going to pop those off too. And even though this got thicker, like the branch got a little thicker and the foliage a little denser, it didn't really get any new growth. I think it's just because it kind of came out there instead. And then I got those two over there. This one I am going to just kind of Now this is another example of directional pruning. This will get dyed back too. I left a little stub there, it'll dye back to the live node is there, but since I left the live node pointing away from the tree, it should grow away. I don't really want a bunch of growth coming in, but I don't really want it all big and wide either. And that's actually why I'm going to go ahead and nip that off there. And I was thinking about wiring these today, but yes, those thorns, can't stand it. Now that I have cut it, these will definitely get rigid. I might just go ahead I'm gonna think about the guy wires when I get ready to pull this up out of here. I'm gonna get my little mixing tub so I don't make such a mess. I did actually I did want to ask if anybody knew. I've tried Googling it. The root ball in this stinks horribly. I Googled it. I found nothing. While I was watching some other YouTube videos about acacia trees, a couple people were talking about it, and they said it's some kind of defense mechanism to keep pests away and actually attract ants. I'm not really sure. I've never really seen a lot of ants on it. I have seen some aphids from time to time. I just usually squish them and hope they don't come back. I mean, I am off for the summer. And speaking of which, before I get my little machine here, I'm going to ask that we all remove our hats and have a moment of silence for the Florida Teachers Summer being halfway over. We all have to go back to work soon. We'd much rather make YouTube videos about our plants and stuff. Summer's almost over. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull this guy up and see what I've got going on inside here. And you can see it's pretty much just a solid man, stinky root ball. Maybe somebody can, almost smells like diesel fuel or something. And I actually even have a screen in the bottom of the terracotta pot that it has just grown all around. Kind of defeated the whole purpose. I was hoping that it wouldn't grow through the bottom of that pot. Let's see. So because this wasn't in a bonsai pot, I used Windows screen. And I keep saying bonsai. I've been getting in trouble for that. People sending me messages. I don't know. Daniel LaRusso taught me how to say bonsai. And it was bonsai, not bonsai. Anyway, yeah, this seems to be a taproot species for sure. Healthy roots right into the screen, trying to go out of the bottom of the pot. And then just nothing but some circles after that. I don't really want to put it in just a big oversized pot because I have to reduce the roots so much to get it back into something small again. I've actually considered just putting this guy in my yard. But I've got so many ficus trees to work on, and sometimes I like to just work on something else. And so I kind of keep it for that too. But anyhow, healthy roots. And part of my See if I can move out of the way there. Yeah, it's pretty healthy roots there. But part of my strategy of the pot inside the pot is that now I can kind of take and just trim those off. And then I guess, and root itself into the ground again. It's not that big of a deal, I guess. Or actually, that's pretty good soil here. Part of the reasoning for the pot inside the pot is it also just keeps it from blowing over so much. And I think I'll leave it in there until, what is middle of July now? It does seem to grow all winter. Anyway, I was thinking maybe I'd leave it in there till next spring. But I did a little root prune without having to disturb the root ball. That was the idea. Worked pretty well. I'm going to go ahead and reposition some of these guy wires. So that's out a lot further than it was. And this one will be too. And then this one, this is the one that I was hoping would, you know, it does have just a small bit of movement. I was hoping that would become the leader. But we'll see. Sometimes, I mean, I don't know, some of my trees I have very definite plans for what it is I want to do. This one here, I think eventually I'm just going to let it decide what it wants to give me. But there's the one side, put the guy wires on there. And then that's the other side with the guy wires back on there and everything.